there have been a lot of people who've criticized this program either for the feasibility, for the science, for the funding, for the timetable. In my mind, I think of the old saying, you know, lead follower, get the hell out of the way. And I want to offer you the chance to give us your take on this. I mean, you are already in the aerospace industry. What do you say to the critics of Mars One? Well,
I feel like being skeptical, skepticism is always a part of curiosity,
sure,
of knowing the how and why and what's, you know, and asking, being curious, period. And I feel that people have their own point of view, and they can, and my question is why not collaborate? Why not have the collaboration, and instead of putting 95% of everything that, oh, you cannot do it, to put it into like, hey, let's help them do it. Let's gather all the entrepreneurs, the visionaries, the scientists, and the medias even, and be positive about this mission. And I feel that we've been putting so much energy onto something that's not necessary. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of question, point of view, let's prove it. Let's prove it by discussing it with one another. And I feel like this criticism had already affected so many people, candidates, and sometimes like I remember what one candidate said, if you're not gonna let them, if they're not gonna hear us out, then there's no point of answering, and just prove it, and just make it real, make it happen. And that's what I feel. Collaboration is the key, especially we're in this era that we are just waiting for that moment, and we've been stuck. We haven't, you know, there's a lot of people, we haven't been back to the moon, we haven't done this, we haven't done that. There's a race to space going on right now. I don't know if anybody is aware of this. Right. And if Elon Musk is saying he can do it, and then Orbital Science and ATK saying they can do it, or Sierra Nevada is saying they can do it, why not Mars One? I mean, I just don't know. And also another thing too, my question is, you know, a technical solution was they're looking for all the time too much oxygen we'll create and one module.
The MIT study.
Exactly. Let's look at the biological aspect of life. Let's find if there's living organisms out there. You know, we haven't looked, I mean, every time I look at the media, there's really no talk about it. Like, you know, we want to know, but I mean, if we're in planet where there's a lot of living organisms here, I know if another planet we'll find something. And why not, let's focus on that and find out and put our energy there. And because the cycle, your elements, your intake of chemicals has to be regulated in balances. So with finding living organisms, right now we have what, planet, humans, and bacteria? So why not focus our energy on that instead of like, hey, they can't do this?
Another question that people bring up about this, which I'm not fully on board with this idea, people talk about, is this ethical? Now, in my mind, if people train for this, they've signed up for this, they spend 7 years preparing themselves for it. And look at this young lady, obviously very intelligent, very successful. The ethics, listen, things are dangerous, and all progress through the past explores, there has always been an inherent risk. So the ethics question, I don't know if I think that we should be throwing that around so much. Listen, I'm not saying, yeah, hey, let's just go to Mars, we'll figure it out on the fly. But at the same time, I think a person like yourself, and I think the people who are agreeing to be part of this, you understand the risks that are involved.
Yes, and I feel that, you know, I was in my Facebook page, and of course, people are telling me, like, you know, Earth, you know, you were born here, just stay here, like you die here. You know, that's unethical. Or maybe like, hey, I get some messages like, oh, you know, you're gonna do suicidal mission. Key is this, I can wake up and something had fallen on top of me. Or, you know, or just walking outside, anything can happen. And to me, it's like, yes, of course it's ethical if the volunteers are okay with it.
That's what I think.
You know, I mean, we volunteer, we know the risk and challenges that we would encounter. And I feel that, you know, what is, like this one candidate, she mentioned, everybody dies. But the most important thing is, what do you do before you die? What is your purpose in life? What's your premise? What's the plot of your story while you were living? Are you the one that's just going to relax and enjoy and just, okay, they're doing this and this and that? Or are you going to be the one that wants to step foot on Mars and be a pioneer? You know, I mean, I want to be the other way. I want to be that person that will, I want my children's children, or, yeah, I don't have a children, but I want, like, my family and the next generation of humanity to be there and for a backup plan in case something happens and to our Earth. And especially whatever we're doing right now to our Earth, it's not, you know, it's not very
conducive to the future?
Yes.
A lot of people have mentioned, including Stephen Hawking, that our ultimate destiny does lie within the stars. So if that is the case, and it's hard to argue with, then you have to start somewhere.